It's the ultimate shootout. Today we'll be comparing all three of the new GoPros against each other. The new HERO7 Black versus Silver versus White. Which one is best? Which one is the most bang for your buck? We'll be doing side-by-side comparisons of all three. Now, I'm Ben from AuthenTech, and a couple quick disclaimers. I bought all three of these new GoPros with my own dime. All firmwares have been updated, and finally, no, this video is sadly not sponsored by anyone, though I kinda wish it was. It took me forever to make, so let's jump right in. I want to congratulate GoPro on the new color gradients. They look really slick. That black is actually black this time, and they put the model number and names more clearly on the side. It looks more uniform in design and easier to distinguish. Starting with pricing, this basically sets the context for the rest of the review. The HERO7 Black is currently $400, the Silver is $300, and the White is $200. Now, I'm not gonna waste your time telling you the obvious differences that you could just look up on your own. GoPro even has a helpful comparison chart where you can compare all the features and specs next to each other. I'll give you that link down below. For this video, I want to focus on actual footage and photos captured side by side, how they look and stack up against each other. Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram for all the sneak peek and behind the scenes shots that I post while making these videos. Starting with some daytime photos, all settings were left in default, and the Black had Super Photo turned on. As they say, this intelligently applies HDR, local tone mapping, or noise reduction to optimize your shots. This is a headlining feature on the new 7 Black, and it showcases well what a massive difference it can make next to the others. Colors look more vibrant, and man, that dynamic range is clearly much nicer versus the other two. On that note, even though the HDR looks more professional, it often has more contrast added as well. If we look at a waveform, we can see how much darker those shadows are being pulled down versus the other two. I also think it's the same with the highlights stretching upwards. Just look at this brick wall in the shadow. The Black looks much darker than the others. I'd say overall image sharpness and clarity looks nicer on the Black over the Silver and the White. As with most of these tests, that should be the case, right? I mean, I guess it is the more expensive model and it has the better internal specs. It's shooting at 12 megapixel photos, the other two are at 10 megapixels. If we zoom way in and do some pixel peeping, we can spot some slight differences between the images, with the Black looking a bit sharper like here in the shingles. Jumping to some low light photo samples, all three look grainy, noisy, muddy in the details. I mean, sure, I guess the Black looks maybe a bit better, but not by too much. Switching to some video side-by-sides, a couple things to first note. You gotta remember, these tests are almost like apples to oranges. The Black can shoot 4K 60 FPS, which by the way is pretty awesome, while the White can only shoot 1080p 60 FPS, so of course they're gonna look pretty different. I think the key to remember is just how different or similar they might look, and is it worth the extra money spent on those fancier features? Spoiler alert, I think it's worth it. Let's start with some apples to apples. All three are shooting exact same resolution and frame rate, 1080p 60 FPS. Funny enough, I'd almost say the Silver looks to be the better quality in this shot, with the Black one in last place. For some reason, the Black isn't doing a great job here at 1080p, though its colors and white balance seem a little bit cooler than the other two. Also, I'm not sure why you'd actually want to shoot at this lower resolution when it can crank out much higher, but hey, the more you know. Now we switch to the best of the best on each, 4K 60 on the Black, 4K 30 on the Silver, and 1080p 60 on the White. Make sure you're watching this video in all 4K glory so you can spot those little differences. A few things you should notice here. The Black is cropping in for a more narrow field of view, and that's because stabilization was turned on. It crops in about 10% on frame. That 10% is actually a lot. What's up guys, this is a quick audio test on the GoPro HERO7 Black. This is the GoPro HERO7 Silver. And this is the GoPro HERO7 White. How's the audio different sound? How's the audio different sound? How's the audio different sound? Let's live AuthenTech. Let's live AuthenTech. Let's live AuthenTech. The Black has 3 microphones, the others only have 2. I'd rate the Black as sounding the best, most crisp, clear, and better wind reduction, though the White actually sounded pretty good as well. Moving on to one of my favorites. This is a quick walk-in stabilization test. The silver and white models have what GoPro calls standard video stabilization, but the black has a new hyper smooth stabilization. And this is a quick jogging stabilization test. Here we can see the improvements and difference that hyper smooth stabilization is making. The other two cheaper models still have quite a bit of shake and wobbles, versus the black is semi-smooth throughout the shot. One thing we gotta talk about, look at this stuttering issue on the black model, and I'm assuming this is connected to their stabilization processing. It's kind of rough and can ruin the shot. In almost all of my slow panning shots, it appears again and again. Is this EIS pitfalls in lower light conditions? Whatever it is, maybe we'll see a fix in a firmware update. Not to forget a quick low light video test, I'd say the black is maintaining the best quality to noise ratio, then the white model in second place, and silver in surprisingly last place. Kind of strange. The black enables the auto low light function at 4K 60. And just for kicks and giggles, I tried switching over to 4K 30 where there is no low light function to see if there's a difference, and it really does look a bit worse in my opinion. Of course, with ProTune turned on in any of these tests, we could produce much nicer looking images. Just remember, ProTune is only available for the black model, not for silver or white. Now onto another favorite test of mine, and that's slow motion. The black can shoot up to 240 FPS at 1080p. I was really hoping for 480 this time around, but sadly that's a no-go. The silver and white are capped at 60 FPS 1080p. There's such a nice difference between the fluid, smooth motion and higher quality image on the black over the silver and white. This brings me to one overarching point throughout all these tests. The silver and the white models look pretty similar. They have a lot of the same features and specs on paper. They both have non-removable batteries, no front LCD screen. The silver is $300, the white is $200, and that's still a fair amount of money compared to other action camera options on the market. For example, you could pick up a Yi 4K for only $150 brand new Amazon Prime. And that shoots 4K 30 up to 100 megabits per second. And I literally just saw this as I was making this video. Amazon has for a limited time a $25 savings coupon. So that brings it down to only 125 bucks. That's kind of a steal. I've made plenty of videos on the Yi cameras in the past on this channel, so in case you missed those, I'll link those down in the description as well. I didn't even cover the speed of the GoPros. The silver and white ones feel a little laggy sometimes, while the black is a tad snappier and faster, thanks to those better internals. The black model is the obvious pick in my opinion between these three, and that's considering features, capabilities, and overall image quality. Let's say you for sure wanted to buy a new GoPro 7, just not sure which model. I'd recommend the black as the most bang for your buck. Now in my next video, I'm even more excited to test the new 7 Black versus last year's 6 Black. Make sure you don't miss it by turning on notifications. Let me know down in the comments which GoPro you think is the winner in terms of quality and price, and then also let me know what other cameras you want me to pit these GoPros against. Until next time, let's live AuthenTech.